I've had a life where I have been able to do many things. I've been involved with radio since I was a teenager. I've been in the pastorate, the full-time ministry, 30 years. I have served as the administrator of 3 different private schools. And I've coached. I've coached Little League Baseball. I've been a Little League president. I have coached varsity baseball. And I spent nearly 15 years coaching high school varsity basketball. I love sports. I think sports are an incredible way of teaching young people character, discipline, teamwork, the value of setting a goal and working to achieve it. And I really love sports movies. One of my favorites is Hoosiers with Gene Hackman. I don't know how many times I've watched it. At least 25 or 30, and that is not an exaggeration. And I think all of us love those underdog stories. Well, we have a modern underdog story unfolding before us in the world of sports. But just like everything else in our country that is upside down and backwards, so is our appreciation of the Cinderella story. Oral Roberts University. Most people had not even heard of it before this past weekend. Now, Oral Roberts University, founded by the late televangelist Oral Roberts, who at one time was known for having a healing ministry. Now, we'll not get into the debate theologically of faith healers, the charismatic movement, etc. But Oral Roberts University, as a Christian institution of higher learning, has boasted some pretty impressive graduates. There have been political leaders who have graduated from ORU. And in full disclosure, my wife is an ORU alumni. I have to tell you that I come from a very staunch fundamentalist Baptist background. For me to marry someone from a very charismatic background, you have to understand that in the quote-unquote church world, that's like a, it's like the old Reese's peanut butter cup commercial. You got chocolate on my peanut butter, but you got peanut butter on my chocolate. She got some of my fundamental on her. I got some of her charismatic on me, and going on 28 years of marriage, it's worked just fine. That said, we were in Jacksonville, Florida over the weekend, and my wife got a text from her sister that Oral Roberts University, good old ORU out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, had just beaten Ohio State. Wait a minute. Ohio State, a perennial powerhouse, ORU beat Ohio State, and then the next day beat Florida. Okay, I live in Ohio, and let me tell you, Ohio University, it's big here in Ohio. The Buckeyes are proud of their athletics. Lived in Florida for 9 years. Gator fan. Love the Gators. ORU beat them both. You would think this would be this incredible David versus Goliath. I mean, there are so many scenarios that can be drawn here, but leave it to the USA Today to call on the NCAA to ban ORU from any further tournament play. Why? Because their faith, their values are, quote, archaic. And what exactly are these so-called archaic values? Well, of course, faith in Jesus. Imagine that, a Christian college that might actually acknowledge the deity to which they are dedicated. The sanctity of human life. You think maybe a Christian institution opposes abortion? I'm pretty sure that Notre Dame, which is Roman Catholic, opposes abortion. Traditional marriage, yeah. Anybody want to ask that same question of Notre Dame? There's only 2 genders. Again, Notre Dame. But apparently it's okay to attack ORU because, after all, and this is what it really comes down to, they're probably Trump supporters. This is a breeding ground for that mentality. There is a photograph of the team after they beat Florida running to huddle up for prayer. Hermal Jaharvi, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the race and inclusion editor at the USA Today. Yeah, apparently that's actually a job title now. She admits that the Evangelical University from Tulsa is a fan favorite as an underdog, but she detests its strict student requirements. ORU's deeply bigoted anti-LGBTQ plus policies can't and shouldn't be ignored. You know, I know I should have seen this coming, but really, when you finally see it in print, you think everything, one right after the other. We've gone after Pepe Le Pew. We've gone after the Muppets. Disney's going after its own stuff. And now the world of sports can't be excited about this great Cinderella matchup. No, nay. We gotta somehow bring politics into it. Jaharvi, who has decided to be a moralistic referee, calls ORU a relic of the past. She tweeted out, twice in their student handbook, Oral Roberts specifically prohibits homosexuality. In their student conduct section, under the heading of personal behavior, the school expressly condemns homosexuality and mentioning in the same breath as occult practices. Yeah. And she wants the NCAA to ban them because the NCAA is all about equality and inclusion. And by the way, you better keep an eye on legislation coming through the current Congress in the name of equality and what that's going to do to houses of worship and faith-based organizations. The article continues, following God, purity, and modesty instead of the NCAA is really a bad move. What? Jaharvi scolds the school for recognizing marriage as the union of a man and a woman, and for keeping its students tied to toxic notions of fundamentalism that fetishize chastity and abstinence. It's an anti-LGBTQ plus stance and nothing short of discriminatory and should expressly be condemned by the NCAA. Let me tell you what needs to be condemned. This politicization of sports. People turn to sports for escape. We turn there to support our teams, to cheer, to get mad, to heckle referees. It is all a diversion from everything else that we have to deal with in life. And from everything from taking a knee to the disparaging of our flag and the disrespect of our nation, which is now all become part of the woke culture. Here comes a school that, to be quite honest with you, hadn't really thought about in years. And now, I hope they win it all. And I hope you'll join with me. Shall we pray and ask God, let them win it all. Quick rant, thanks for watching.